baseball, and the Blue Jays are number 1. This is according to Matt Snyder. Now, the last week of May, the Blue Jays were 22nd in Matt Snyder's power rankings. Now they're all the way up to that top spot. They sit at the top of the AL East, and the Yankees now sitting 5.5 games back. The biggest riser, that award goes to the Mets, up 5 spots to number 4. The Mets have rattled off 7 straight wins. The biggest faller, that belongs to the Tigers, down 4 spots to number 7. The Tigers are 8-2 in their last 10 games. Let's welcome in Matt Snyder and David Sampson here to discuss. We'll start right at the top, guys. What a turnaround it's been for the Blue Jays if we think all the way back to May and then up until this point, Matt, where they were towards the bottoms of your rankings, now sitting at number 1. So, Matt, how long do you think they can hold on to that top spot, in the power rankings?
Well, I'm not going to be in the business of betting against them anytime soon after they took 3 or 4 from the Tigers over the weekend and looked amazing in doing so in those first 3 games. They were blowing the doors off the Tigers. They even won the Tarek Skubal start. So, yeah, since they were 22nd in the rankings, 37-15 record, they're 17-5 in July. They were down 8 games in the American League East. They pumped that all the way up to 6.5. It's 5.5 now. There's obvious names on that team that are going to produce, like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, but you've got George Springer looking like he did in his Astros years, and then you're getting stuff from Addison Barger and Ernie Clement and Nathan Lukes. How about Joey Loperfido right now? It's just been unbelievable, their offense. 5.65 runs per game since late May when they were 2 games under 500. It's just very, very impressive what they're doing right now.
This is the type of run that they've been waiting for, not for a season, but for several seasons. And when they brought back Vladimir Guerrero, the thought was that they were going to not just hold on, but they were committed to the evaluation. And you've got a front office there in Atkins and Shapiro who have always told the media and their fans that we have the pieces here, but the proof was in the pudding. They didn't have the pieces because it really was not coming together. Now what you've seen over this month is what they thought this team was. And what's funny in baseball is as the season goes on and we head into the trade deadline, and now we're starting to get late into the season, believe it or not, this is the moment where you say, all right, this is now our team, for better or for worse. And when the Blue Jays are the best team in the American League East, my view is that Snyder's going to have a hard time putting them below the top 5 for the rest of the season, while they could fall from top 1 if they don't have this sort of run the way they've had or keep increasing the lead. I don't think he'll be able to deny the power that's going on up north. As Matt said, the way they're scoring runs, you sprinkle in that starting pitching, which is not too shabby. I'm interested how the deadline goes, but I think they're a top 5 team.
All right, and the deadline, again, just 3 days away. That is July 31st at 6 Eastern. So the biggest risers on this list, that belongs to the Mets. They're up 5 spots. They've rattled off 7 straight wins. And David, it kind of feels like everything is sort of clicking at the right time for the Mets.
So I actually don't agree here with Matt, and here's why. I think it's a prisoner of the winning streak a little bit, and that's fine. But I view the Mets as a pretty inconsistent team. And I look at their starting pitching, they don't have depth. I just don't believe in it. I don't believe in their bullpen. Their lineup, Soto has been great. Fine. His great is greater than most people's okay, and best and excellent. But guess what? It's just, there's something there. I can't put my finger on it except to say, if you ask me to bet the Phillies or the Mets to win that division, I think the Phillies really do have the better team top to bottom. And I saw Mr. John Middleton in Cooperstown, Matt, and he said, it's up, it's down, it's, a little bit of everything, but we just take it game by game. That's what the Mets are doing too. And so having them move up this much, Matt, I think was just their winning streak, I guess, but I just don't know if that's sustainable.
Yeah, it was totally. That's what we do. It's a snapshot in time. I have the Phillies winning the division. I think that they're still going to win the division. They have a little bit of an easier schedule the rest of the way, but the Mets have won 7 in a row right now. Somehow they're 4th in baseball in rotation ERA. And I agree, when you look at that rotation and you see how thin it is and you see their injury risks within that, they've got to make an addition here in front of the deadline. If it's a home run like Mitch Keller, we'll see. But maybe it's somebody lesser than that. We'll we'll see. But somehow they've been able to piece together a rotation pretty much all year. I'm very interested in the trade deadline. And yeah, I was going to mention Juan Soto earlier in the year. Everybody, he looks so miserable. He didn't look so miserable last night. He looks like he's having fun because they're winning and he's hitting well. I think they're a playoff team, but I think they're a wild card team. But yeah, they're riding high right now. And there are a lot of good teams, such as the Tigers, such as the Dodgers, who are really, really in a bad way right now. And that's one of the reasons that the Mets jumped up a lot.
All right, we talked about the Blue Jays and their success, but part of the reason they've been able to get that lead in the division is because the Yankees have been not the best over the last 2 months. Aaron Judge is now on the IL. So, Matt, I'll come to you first. What is your concern level for the Yankees as they drop 2 spots in the power rankings?
Yeah, I guess it depends on what we're talking about in terms of concern. Like, am I concerned that they're not going to win the division? Absolutely. I think the Blue Jays are going to win that division. But, like, fall out of the playoffs? Nah, I think they'll stay in there. But still, 22-28 since they had an 8-game lead over the Blue Jays. That was May 28th. Now Judge is on the injured list. They need at least 1 starting pitcher, maybe 2. They need relief pitching help. They needed a third baseman badly. They went out and they got Ryan McMahon, who's a low-average, high strikeout guy, but he's a great defender. Maybe that does help them defensively. Anthony Volpe not having a good year at shortstop defensively, but you get somebody with McMahon with more range, maybe that frees Volpe up and he does a little bit better. Chisholm at second instead of third is probably going to be better for them. But yeah, I mean, they're not going to win the division. They're just a decently good wild card team right now.
Even in a snapshot, Matt, I have the Yankees out of the top 10, and you want to talk about how they've been the White Sox and the Rockies, for crying out loud. That's about what their record is over in it. We're not talking about a sample size of a 3-game series. Aaron Judge on the IL has had quite an impact. 1, on the MVP race, where Cal Raleigh is now the favorite. But 2, if you've got to give Stanton a glove, which he wants, he'd rather play in the field. It keeps his head more in the game, more active, loves it, fine. But you're talking about when Judge comes back DHing, flexor strains on a pitcher, you got Tommy John in front of you. Flexor strains on a hitter, you can do the PRP, you can try to rehab it, try to come back, but it doesn't untear. That's the reality. A flexor strain, there is a tear. It's just a matter of how torn. And we're not practicing medicine on the Q, but what we are saying is that Aaron Judge is dicey to play the field at all the rest of the season, in my opinion. And 2, I said recently, including the start of the season, I didn't have the Yankees as a playoff team. I still don't have them as a playoff team. Why? Take a look at what's going on with Texas and Seattle, and you'll see you're going to run out of spots.
All right, let's go to Texas, because the Rangers, one of the biggest risers, they're up 4 spots, sitting at number 11, just outside of the top 10 after rattling off 6 straight wins. So, David, does that feel right to you for the Rangers?
I actually would have them up higher. I do believe they're a top 10 team. Now, Matt, I understand the snapshot issue. However, who would you rather be today? Would you rather be the Rangers or would you rather be the Yankees? And I'm not talking about cost of living or state tax. I'm not talking about traffic on the East Side Highway. I'm not talking about heat, though it's pretty equal these days. I'm talking about from a team 1 to 26. Who do you got? And I have the Rangers 1 to 26, and that matters over 162. Caveat: Thursday, July 31st, 6 p.m., teams 1 to 26 is going to change. The Rangers should add. That team deserves an add. That clubhouse deserves an add. And there's not a weakness. And we don't talk enough about Nate Eovaldi and the fact that he was not an all-star, got the money anyway. He's a number 1 starter who, when you pencil him in for a game 1, you're happy. But then you say, wait a minute, shouldn't I put DeGrom in as the game 1 starter? Can you imagine having 2 guys you can put as a game 1 starter? That's the team I want.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have, isn't it? Hey, I'm fired up. I had the Rangers to win the American League at the start of the year, and through about 2 months, I was like, man, what an awful pick. The offense was in shambles. They're hitting now, and the pitching's been good all year behind DeGrom and Eovaldi, as David mentioned, but now they're hitting. They're 15-6 this month, averaging 5.86 runs per game. That was the component of the team that was lacking. And remember, they fired their offensive coordinator earlier in the season because it was like, hey, there's too much firepower here. If you look at Adolis Garcia and Marcus Semien and the youngster Wyatt Langford and the youngster Evan Carter, it was just like they have too many guys who are talented offensively to be hitting this poorly. Well, now they're starting to hit. It's starting to match up with that pitching. They're firing on all cylinders. And, hey, I'm back in the game with my American League champion pick.
Isn't it great when some of those picks that look like they were just an absolute miss are slowly starting to come back into focus? Matt, you got to keep the receipts for that, right? Let's go to the Mariners. They're in the middle of the wild card hunt right now. They're down 3 spots in the rankings, and they do get Josh Naylor. We're hearing from Jim Bowden. They're not totally out on Eugenio Suarez in terms of the trade deadline. But, Matt, how in reach is the AL West title for them?
Oh, it's absolutely in reach for both the Mariners and the Rangers. The Astros are playing terrible, terrible baseball right now, leaving the door open. But the Mariners have lost 5 of 8. Now, a lot of the drop was because teams like the Reds and Rangers just got so hot I had to move them up. It wasn't that much on, like, oh, the Mariners deserve to fall 3 spots. It was just, you've got a logjam right there with a lot of teams that are playing well in front of them. But let's look at the schedule right now, because this is a big stretch for the Mariners. 3 games in Sacramento, which are that's a series that's winnable. Then they have 4 at home against the Rangers, where they can get a leg up here head to head. And then after that, they have 3 more at home against the White Sox. So they've got 6 games against weak teams, and wedged in between those, 4 against a team that is their main competitor for that last wild card spot, and also a team that they might be in the mix with for the American League West title. It's a big stretch for the Mariners.
All right, and Mariners absolute legend Ichiro Suzuki, of course, in recent news was just inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and his speech, we loved it. It was very funny, and we have a snippet of it for you to play back.
And to the Miami Marlins, I appreciate David Sampson and Mike Hill for coming today. Honestly, when you guys called to offer me a contract for 2015, I have never heard of your team.
Oh boy, Ichiro has jokes. And David, you were there, obviously, in Cooperstown. So kind of just tell us what's going through your mind when you're hearing that.
I had very much a Walter Mitty moment. I'm sitting there looking at Ichiro, and he says my name in a Hall of Fame speech. And as crazy as it is to have been in the game for 18 years and all the fun, great things I've had a chance to do, I would say that ranks now immediate top 5 of a lifetime thought and moment. Not that I did it myself, but just to hear your name in a Hall of Fame speech is pretty surreal and out of body like. As for the joke, I laughed, and afterwards spoke to Ichiro and his wife and his staff and people, and of course it's funny. He knew who the Marlins were. Come on. That's just Ichiro with his personality. We won the World Series in 2003 when he was in the heart of his great 10-year stretch. So I'm not worried about that. But what I would say is that what people got to see with Ichiro yesterday in a speech that was the best speech of the day by far, and the best I've heard in decades, frankly, is that, and that's a little recency bias maybe, he's funny. A very, very funny guy, and he does things like that throughout the course of a day in a game. And I loved his message about intensity and dreaming and having goals. I just thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I loved it, and I love, we get a little shade that's thrown maybe in some of those Hall of Fame speeches. David, Matt, we certainly appreciate it.
Dodgers are next up, and we are going to have 1 new and 2 holds. Put the holds up first. That is my Minnesota Twins package, where we get Chris Paddock and we get Willie Castro. Castro gives me those Tommy Edman vibes. He's been great this year with the bat, and he can play all over. And Chris Paddock has had his stretches where he has been really good. He's been up and down this year, but when you think about the Dodgers, I'm looking for some insurance. I know you got Snell coming back. Tyler Glasshow's has been back. He's been good, but I want a guy that checks 2 boxes. Box number 1, starting pitching depth insurance. Box number 2, I can move him to the bullpen when we get to October. So, and I think Paddock checks both of those boxes. He's done both of those things. He started and he has relieved, so that's why I like that. And my new piece, the splash, if you will, Ryan Helsley. Ryan Helsley expects to be traded by the deadline. Okay, buddy, let's go to the Dodgers. We know the Dodgers want an elite back of the bullpen upgrade. I think it is just going to be too much for Clase, for Duran, for any of those guys. I like Ryan Helsley as the piece here. He is a rental. I think the Dodgers are perfectly okay with that. They're just looking for a guy that can go out there and be lights out at the back of the bullpen. Ryan Helsley can do that. Now, there are a lot of players that are not here. So I have a lot of the names that are rumored not going anywhere. Let's go through this, and I'm going to just go through the players that I don't think are going anywhere. Maybe some of these I have